Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. That's enthusiastic.
Sorry, it's early still for me.
I hear you. All righty. So today is the last class. If I'm correct, I believe we are on number 12. And what I would like to do, hold on one second. Just let me pull all this fun stuff up. But we had a lot of common themes throughout this and these modules. And a lot of them are really just lead generation focused. And the one thing that I've noticed in teaching these classes and also just my own experiences with other agents and what their biggest hurdles are is the fear of lead generation. Um, can anybody identify with that? Can anybody say that lead generation kind of freaks them out a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's also because I'm just unfamiliar with it. And, I need to get used to it and just do it.
Yep, I agree. And so because of that, what I like to do is on the last class, I like to go a little bit off script. And I like to play this little video that I really, really enjoy. It's kind of a long one. It's about 10 minutes, but it's not anything real estate related. So hold on one second, everybody. Hey, May.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm teaching my class.
Oh, sorry. Wanted to check on your offer. Call me back.
Yes, I reached out to Todd. He hasn't gotten back to me, so I have a feeling that's not good news. But I will give you a call as soon as I'm done with the class. Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you. Bye. Okay. Hold on one second. Where am I? Let me. Where are we? Okay, so yeah, lead generation. So who was talking about their fear? Was that Batya?
Yeah.
Awesome. So how about anybody else? Josh, Taylor, have you ever felt a little bit nervous about lead generation?
Definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So this, hold on, Chris Hadfield, TED Talk. So this is actually a TED Talk that I'm going to play. And this is, he's an astronaut. He flew to the International Space Station on a couple of missions. His name's Chris Hadfield. And this is his TED Talk on fear and perceived risk. And I think it's really, really valuable for all of us. It has nothing to do with real estate, but I think the lessons in this class we can translate into our own businesses and our own lives. So I really like to play it for at least one of the classes. And I think the last one is a great one to do it. So let's watch it and let's have a little chat about it after the class and what you took from this. And hopefully it helps you as it has helped me, because I think it's a really, really awesome TED Talk. And it's pretty great stuff. So 1 second while this ad passes, I will share my screen and we'll go from there. Here we go. How do I do this? That's how I do it.
What's the scariest thing you've ever done? Or another way to say it is, what's the most dangerous thing that you've ever done? And why did you do it? I know what the most dangerous thing is that I've ever done, because NASA does the math. You look back to the first 5 shuttle launches, the odds of a catastrophic event during the first 5 shuttle launches was 1 in 9. And even when I first flew on the shuttle back in 1995, 74 shuttle flight, the odds were still, now that we look back, about 1 in 38 or so, 1 in 35, 1 in 40. Not great odds. So it's a really interesting day when you wake up at the Kennedy Space Center and you're going to go to space that day. Because you realize by the end of the day, you're either going to be floating effortlessly, gloriously in space, or you'll be dead. You go into, at the Kennedy Space Center, into the suit up room, the same room that our childhood heroes got dressed in, that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin got suited in to go ride the Apollo rocket to the moon. And I got my pressure suit built around me and rode down outside in the van heading out to the launch pad, in the Astro van heading out in the launch pad. And as you come around the corner at the Kennedy Space Center, it's normally pre-dawn, and in the distance, lit up by the huge xenon lights, is your spaceship, the vehicle that is going to take you off the planet. And the crew is sitting in the Astro van, sort of hushed, almost holding hands, looking at that as it gets bigger and bigger. We ride the elevator up, and we crawl in on your hands and knees into the spaceship one at a time. And you sort of worm your way up into your chair and plunk yourself down on your back. And the hatch is closed. And suddenly, what has been a lifetime of both dreams and denial is becoming real. Something that I dreamed about, in fact, that I chose to do when I was 9 years old, is now suddenly within not too many minutes of actually happening. And in the astronaut business, the shuttle is a very complicated vehicle. It's the most complicated flying machine ever built. And in the astronaut business, we have a saying, which is, there is no problem so bad that you can't make it worse. And so you're very conscious in the cockpit. You're thinking about all of the things that you might have to do, all the switches and all the wickets you have to go through. And as the time gets closer and closer, this excitement is building. And then about 3.5 minutes before launch, the huge nozzles on the back, like the size of big church bells, swing back and forth. And the mass of them is such that it sways the whole vehicle, like the vehicle's alive underneath you, like an elephant getting up off its knees or something. And then about 30 seconds before launch, the vehicle is completely alive. It is ready to go. The APUs are running. The computers are all self-contained. It's ready to leave the planet. And 15 seconds before launch, this happens.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, start, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery, returning to the space station, paving the way for future missions.
It is incredibly powerful to be on board one of these things. You are in the grip of something that is vastly more powerful than yourself. It's shaking you so hard you can't focus on the instruments in front of you. It's like you're in the jaws of some enormous dog, and there's a foot in the small of your back pushing you to space, accelerating wildly straight up, shouldering your way through the air, and you're in a very complex place, paying attention, watching the vehicle go through each one of its wickets with a steadily increasing smile on your face. After 2 minutes, those solid rockets explode off, and then you just have the liquid engines, the hydrogen and oxygen, and it's as if you're in a dragster with your foot to the floor and accelerating like you've never accelerated. You get lighter and lighter. The force gets on us heavier and heavier. And it feels like someone's pouring cement on you or something, until finally, after about 8 minutes and 40 seconds or so, we are finally at exactly the right altitude, exactly the right speed, the right direction. The engine shut off, and we're weightless, and we're alive. It's an amazing experience. But why would we take that risk? Why would you do something that dangerous? And in my case, the answer is fairly straightforward. I was inspired as a youngster that this is what I wanted to do. I watched the first people walk on the moon, and to me, it was just an obvious thing. I want to somehow turn myself into that. But the real question is, how do you deal with the danger of it and the fear that comes from it? How do you deal with fear versus danger? And having the goal in mind, thinking about where it might lead, directed me to a life of looking at all of the small details to allow this to become possible, to be able to launch and go help build a space station where you are on board a 1 million pound creation that's going around the world at 5 miles a second, 8 kilometers a second around the world 16 times a day, with experiments on board that are teaching us what the substance of the universe is made of, and running 200 experiments inside, but maybe even more importantly, allowing us to see the world in a way that is impossible through any other means. To be able to look down and have, if your jaw could drop, it would, the jaw-dropping gorgeousness of the turning orb, like a self-propelled art gallery of fantastic, constantly changing beauty that is the world itself. And you see, because of the speed, a sunrise or a sunset every 45 minutes for half a year. And the most magnificent part of all that is to go outside on a spacewalk. You are in a one-person spaceship that is your spacesuit, and you're going through space with the world. It's an entirely different perspective. You're not looking up at the universe. You and the Earth are going through the universe together. And you're holding on with one hand, looking at the world turn beside you. It's like roaring silently with color and texture as it pours by just mesmerizingly next to you. And if you can tear your eyes away from that and you look under your arm down at the rest of everything, it's an unfathomable blackness, like texture you feel like you could stick your hand into. And you are holding on with one hand, one link to the other 7 billion people. And I was outside of my first spacewalk when my left eye went blind. And I didn't know why. Suddenly my left eye slammed shut in great pain, and I couldn't figure out why my eye wasn't working. I was thinking, what do I do next? I thought, well, maybe that's why we have two eyes. So I kept working. But unfortunately, without gravity, tears don't fall. And so you just get a bigger and bigger ball of whatever that is mixed with your tears on your eye, until eventually the ball becomes so big that the surface tension takes it across the bridge of your nose like a tiny little waterfall and goes goosh into your other eye. And now I was completely blind outside the spaceship. So what's the scariest thing you've ever done? Maybe it's spiders. A lot of people are afraid of spiders. I think you should be afraid of spiders. Spiders are creepy, and they got long, hairy legs. And spiders like this one, the brown recluse, I mean, it's horrible. If a brown recluse bites you, you end up one of these horrible big necrotic things on your leg. And there might be one right now sitting on the chair behind you, in fact. And how do you know? And so a spider lands on you and you go through this great spasmy attack because spiders are scary. But then you could say, well, is there a brown recluse sitting on the chair beside me or not? I don't know. Are there brown recluses here? So if you actually do the research, you find out that in the world, there are about 50,000 different types of spiders. And there are about 24 that are venomous out of 50,000. And if you're in Canada, because of the cold winters, here in BC, there's about 720, 730 different types of spiders. And there's one that is venomous, and its venom isn't even fatal. It's just kind of like a nasty sting. And that spider, not only that, but that spider has beautiful markings on it. It's like, I'm dangerous. I got a big radiation symbol on my back. It's the black widow. So if you're even slightly careful, you can avoid running into the one spider that, and it lives close to the ground. And you're walking along, you are never going to go through a spider web where a black widow bites you. Spider webs like this, it doesn't build those. It builds them down in the corners. And it's for black widow because it's the female spider eats the male. It doesn't care about you. So in fact, the next time you walk into a spider web, you don't need to panic and go with your caveman reaction. The danger is entirely different than the fear. And how do you get around it though? How do you change your behavior? Well, next time you see a spider web, have a good look, make sure it's not a black widow spider, and then walk into it. And then you see another spider web and walk into that one. It's just a little bit of fluffy stuff. It's not a big deal. And the spider that may come out is no more threat to you than a ladybug or a butterfly. And then I guarantee you, if you walk through 100 spider webs, you will have changed your fundamental human behavior, your caveman reaction. And You will now be able to walk in the park in the morning and not worry about that spider web or into your grandma's attic or whatever, into your own basement. And you can apply this to anything. If you're outside on a spacewalk and you're blinded, your natural reaction would be to panic, I think. It would make you nervous and worried. But we had considered all the venom and we had practiced with a whole variety of different spider webs. We knew everything there is to know about the spacesuit. And we trained underwater thousands of times. And we don't just practice things going right, we practice things going wrong all the time, so that you are constantly walking through those spider webs, and not just underwater, but also in virtual reality labs with the helmet and the gloves. So you feel like it's realistic. So when you finally actually get outside on a spacewalk, it feels much different than it would if you just went out first time. And even if you're blinded, your natural panicky reaction doesn't happen. Instead, you kind of look around and go, okay, I can't see, but I can hear, I can talk. Scott Perezinski's out here with me. He could come over and help me. We actually practiced incapacitated crew rescue. So he could float me like a blimp and stuff me into the airlock if we had to. I could find my own way back. It's not nearly as big a deal. And actually, if you keep on crying for a while, whatever that guck was that's in your eyes starts to dilute, you can start to see again. And Houston, if you negotiate with them, they will let you then keep working. And we finished everything on the spacewalk. And when we came back inside, Jeff got a cotton batting and took the crusty stuff around my eyes. And it turned out it was just the anti-fog, sort of a mixture of oil and soap that got in my eye. And now we use Johnson's No More Tears, which we probably should have been using right from the very beginning. But the key to that is by looking at the difference between perceived danger and actual danger. Where's the real risk? What is the real thing that you should be afraid of? Not just a generic fear of bad things happening. You can fundamentally change your reaction to things so that it allows you to go places and see things and do things that otherwise would be completely denied to you. Where you can see the hard pan south of the Sahara, or you can see New York City in a way that is almost dreamlike, or the unconscious gingham of Eastern Europe fields, or the Great Lakes as a collection of small puddles. You can see the fault lines of San Francisco and the way the water pours out under the bridge, just entirely different than any other way that you could have if you had not found a way to conquer your fear. You see a beauty that otherwise never would have happened. It's time to come home at the end. This is our spaceship, the Soyuz, that little one. 3 of us climb in, and then this spaceship detaches from the station and falls into the atmosphere. These 2 parts here actually melt. We jettison them and they burn up in the atmosphere. The only part that survives is the little bullet that we're riding in, and it falls into the atmosphere. And in essence, you are riding a meteorite home. And riding meteorites is scary, and it ought to be. But instead of riding into the atmosphere, just screaming like you would if suddenly you found yourself riding a meteorite back to Earth, instead, 20 years previously, we had started studying Russian. And then once you learned Russian, then we learned orbital mechanics in Russian. And then we learned vehicle control theory. And then we got into the simulator and practiced over and over and over again. And in fact, you can fly this meteorite and steer it and land in about a 15-kilometer circle anywhere here. So in fact, when our crew was coming back into the atmosphere inside the Soyuz, we weren't screaming, we were laughing. It was fun. And when the great big parachute opened, we knew that if it didn't open, there's a second parachute, and it runs on a nice little clockwork mechanism. So we came back, we came thundering back to Earth, and this is what it looked like to land in a Soyuz in Kazakhstan.
And you can see one of those search and recovery helicopters. Once again, that helicopter, part of a dozen such Russian Mi-8 helicopters. Touchdown, 3:14 and 48 seconds a.m. Central Time.
And you roll to a stop as if someone threw your spaceship at the ground and it tumbles end over end. But you're ready for it. You're in a custom-built seat. And you know how the shock absorber works. And then eventually the Russians reach in, drag you out, plunk you into a chair, and you can now look back at what was an incredible experience. You have taken the dreams of that 9-year-old boy, which were impossible and dauntingly scary, dauntingly terrifying, and put them into practice and figured out a way to reprogram yourself, to change your primal fear so that it allowed you to come back with a set of experiences and a level of inspiration for other people that never could have been possible otherwise. Just to finish, they asked me to play that guitar. I know this song, and it's really a tribute to the genius of David Bowie himself, but it's also, I think, a reflection of the fact that we are not machines exploring the universe. We are people, and we're taking that ability to adapt and that ability to understand and the ability to take our own self-perception into a new place. This is Major Tom to ground control. I've left forevermore, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I floating in the tin can, a last glimpse of the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's so much left to do. Fear not.
All righty. So what is preventing us from lead generation? And is it fear? If it is fear, is that a rational fear? That's kind of where I want to go with this. So let me ask you, everybody in the class, what is the real thing that we should be afraid of when it comes to lead generation? Anybody there? Anybody there?
Maybe like our own fear within ourselves. I think that is the main thing that you would obviously that would hold you back in lead generation.
Sure. I would almost argue though that not lead generation, by not lead generating, is the real fear that we should be what we should really be afraid of. Because I mean, let's face it, if we pick up the phone and we make a phone call and we're constantly reaching out to people, what's the worst thing that can happen?
I mean, they just say no.
They just say no. The fear that we're focusing on is rejection, or fear of being perceived, weird from, in a different way from our friends and family and etc. But in reality, by not lead generating, what happens if you don't lead generate?
Your business doesn't grow and you don't get paid.
Exactly. So the way I look at it is lead generation to me is the spider webs. We don't like them. They're kind of gross. It's a little creepy. There could be a black widow in it, but in reality, it's just a little bit of fluffy stuff. So whenever I look at lead generation, and it's hard for me sometimes, believe me, sometimes I'll wake up, I just don't feel like it. I had a bad day, the other day, something happened, in my personal life, maybe something happened in my business life, whatever. And I just don't feel like it. But the second I pick up that phone and I force myself to make those calls, or I force myself to reach out to people through Instagram or Facebook, or I force myself to create a marketing piece that I'm going to boost on, social media platforms. By doing all those things over and over and over again, I've learned that, the rejection It's just that. It's just rejection. There's another spider web I get to go to and make another call. And each time I go through those proverbial, spider webs, I'm eventually getting closer and closer to that pot of gold. And I think that, when we're looking at, our spaceship, which is real estate, if we're able to focus on the fear of not lead generating or the fear of not doing the work every single day, and we really actually look at it like, if I don't do this, this is the worst situation, because I won't get paid, I won't get new clients, I won't have incoming business from various lead sources, that is the actual thing that we should be afraid of. Being stagnant, not doing the job. That it should be our real fear. Because believe me, yeah, great. You close a couple deals, you got a nice little paycheck, you got a little bit of a cushion, but where's that next deal coming from? Do you know? Sometimes we don't. And that's the scary part about real estate. And I can tell you this right now, for everybody on this call who's just beginning their journey in this business, you're going to get, a couple deals under your belt before no time. Maybe you were an agent at another office. Maybe you are coming from another, area. But I promise you, once you close that deal, you're going to have this really scary feeling of, oh shit, where's my next client? And instead of going through that ebb and flow cycle, by lead generating and by consistently being in the mindset of, I need to lead gen, I need to lead gen, I need a lead gen, you will find that you're able to create a predictable flow of income. And you can absolutely 100% avoid that fear of, where's my next client? Where's my next deal? Where's my next paycheck? And in fact, you create from what was once, the unknown, to now something that's very, very predictable and that you can, in fact, count on. You can now plan your life. You can now plan vacations. You can now, buy your own home. So with that said, we'll go into our numbers and see what we've been up to. This is the last class, obviously, and then we'll I think I have a break. So anybody who's just joining right now, we'll start all over again next week. But let's start with Taylor. How is your lead generation since Monday? And yeah.
It's going well. I am at 10 and 5 conversations, and I actually got my license today. So I'm very excited, and now I can obviously move forward with the one appointment that I had kind of on standby. So I'm really excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so exciting.
Yes.
That's awesome. So I hope that this video inspires you to get out there and lead generate and
Absolutely.
realize that the real fear should be in not lead generation. So very
100%.
good. Good job. Awesome. Batya.
Yes. This is since Monday.
Yes.
Okay, so 10, 5, and 3.
Looking for your name. Where are you?
I got 2 new lease clients. They're both looking for the same thing.
Nice. Where's
So-
your name? I can't find it. Hold on. Oh, there we go. 64.
There it is.
So what was it again?
10, 5, and 3.
Nice. Very good. Awesome. And by the by, Taylor, you have done all 12 of the classes, so that's awesome. So you are ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. What is the process now that I have my GRE? Do I just need to contact Josh or?
Yeah, you're gonna want to talk to Josh. He'll probably get you in contact with Alfredo, or somebody with the office who will begin the onboarding. And from there, you got a couple classes with the I think the MLS and the DRE. There's like an introductory thing. I don't know how they do it now because of COVID. It might be like an online thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's typically where it picks up again. And then, yeah, you become an official agent at Keller Williams.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, I would reach out to Josh though, and just be like, hey, got it all done, finished all the Ignite classes, and subsequently just got licensed today. And he'll get you in contact with the right people.
Cool. Thank you, Jared.
Awesome. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank
And Josh Snyder.
Since Monday, I had 8 calls, 4 I made contact with, and then I had 1 appointment yesterday.
Nice. Where are you, Josh? Did I skip you? Where?
I think I'm all the way at the bottom, like it's the third to last one.
Oh, yep. There we go. And what was the numbers again?
8, 4, and 1 appointment.
Awesome. Good stuff, man. All righty. Haytham, are you new on this call?
Hi.
Hi. How are you, bud?
Yes, I'm new and I'm licensed, but I'm just here listening per Josh's instructions. I didn't start working yet with the team,
Awesome.
but I'm waiting for my license to be mailed so I can sign. But I'm already committed, and I'm just listening and learning as much as I can.
Awesome. So, Haytham, what we're doing right now is we're going over our daily contacts. What we're doing is part of this class, we learned something called our daily 10-4, which is 10 phone calls or reach outs, for example. It's actually 10 contacts. And then also we want to write 10 handwritten notes to people, add 10 people into our database, and then preview 10 properties. That is our basic, fundamental need in real estate. So what we like to focus on in this is our lead generation. So on the left-hand corner, right where my little box is highlighted, this is going to be our per day commitment. How many calls are you willing or contacts are you willing to make per day? And then we'll extrapolate that to how many that is per week. So how many per day, Haytham, could you commit to doing?
Whatever you think is right. I mean, if it's 10, then I'll do 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. So that's 70 calls per week. And then over here is what our actual is. So number of calls we made and actual contacts. And the reason why we do that is we like to see how many calls do we have to make on average to make those contacts. So eventually you'll start noticing if you have a goal of, 10 per day, 10 contacts per day, that may turn into, 20 or 30 calls just because you realize I need to make this many calls to make 10 contacts. Make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. So next class we'll write you down and get some data. Good to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All righty. Mary, are you new on the call? You there, Mary? You might be on mute. All righty.
Yes.
Oh, hey, Mary, how goes it?
Yeah.
How are you?
Fine. Thank you. It's good.
Good. So how are you? I'm guessing you're new on the call as well?
Yeah, I'm new too.
Awesome.
I just more listen.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, how many calls could you commit to, Mary?
How many call?
How many calls?
Calls.
Yeah, like phone calls, contacts, outreaches, lead.
Every day?
Yeah.
Not much. And for now, I just call my older client. Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's make it 5. I'll start you at 5, and we'll go from there. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Good to have you, Mary.
Thank you.
All righty. And last but not least, Parker.
Hey, Jared, how you doing?
Pretty good, bud. How goes it?
I'm doing great. So I'm in the same boat as Hatham here. I'll be taking my test at the end of the month. Just started, just got my email set up. I hopped on the 11th one, and it seems like I'm coming in pretty late to on the series. So I'm excited to start at 1. But yeah, I'll be starting maybe 10 calls.
Awesome. Very cool. Good to have you, bud.
All right, thanks.
All righty. So,
Jared, I have a quick question.
yes, I have
Sorry.
a quick answer.
So I'm just wondering how many classes, is it 8 and 9 that I'm missing?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
You got, but you know what? If you wanted to just jump, either wait for 8 or 9, or if you wanted to jump in and redo 1 and 2, I'll give you credit for those. So.
Okay, amazing. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Absolutely. Okay. So this says it's going to be a 3-hour class. It is not going to be. I assure you that. And let's get into the material for today. I'd like to make this last one a little bit more, a little more two-way, not just me reading. I know I can get a little long-winded. It's a lot of material to go over. But what I'd like to do is kind of just, discuss with everybody how they feel about it. Obviously, in real estate, this is my favorite little pictogram, so to speak. And it's very true, because our business really starts with lead generation. And that is the foundation of our business. And if you look at this funnel, what we're trying to do is capture as many leads as possible, which then gets funneled down into appointments, then to agreements, then to contract, and then close payday. We have done the whole thing in all 12 of these modules. We go over each process, and now we're at the end. What is something that has really stuck with you, whether it be in the class or your own experiences in real estate, how they're working out for you? Are you feeling like you're getting enough leads right now? And if not, what can you do to try to step that up?
I think consistency is a huge thing. Obviously, if you're not doing 50 outreaches a day, that's okay. But I think just doing something daily has more of an impact than like when I will go and do it all at once, but not, have a daily routine.
Absolutely. Excuse me.
I was going to ask, would you mind sharing the material in the chat?
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hold on. I was going to do the student one, but I'll just send over the instructor one. Hold on. That's weird. There we go. My mouse is acting funny. Sorry. Okay, here we go. So everybody in the chat right now, I just put in today's material. Feel free to either look on my screen or open it up on your own. But yeah, so consistency in our business is key. What are some other jobs that everybody has had before getting into real estate?
Property management.
Property management, great. Anybody else have any other previous lines of work?
Yeah, I did staffing sales. I was doing like 200, 300 cold calls a day.
Nice. Good job, Parker. Cool. So staffing sales. Anybody else?
Accounting.
Accounting. Awesome. I need to do my taxes. Can you help me? Awesome. Very cool. How about Josh? How about you?
I was an account coordinator at a marketing agency.
Very cool. So in all these jobs, did you all have a boss?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And you had to show up to an office every single day or else you get fired, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. How is that different in real estate?
You're your own boss here.
You're your own boss here. How easy is it to go, you know what? I'm not going to cold call today.
extremely.
Very easy.
Very, very easy. So the reason why I want to touch upon consistency, which is what Morgan was bringing up, it's because that is going to be the key factor in our success in this business. It is so easy for us to just go, you know what, I'll get to it. I'll do it double, the next day, or I will, I was supposed to call 10 people today. I didn't. So tomorrow I'll just do 20 or 30. And that's fine. If you take it away, you must replace it. I agree with that. But if we get consistently into that same, I don't know, I guess that habit of doing that, I think what you'll end up seeing is eventually that becomes the norm. It's normal for you to not cold call. It's normal for you to not do this. And you're almost creating a reactionary business model. You're not being proactive. You're not actively going out to cold call and to make these contacts and, to, reach out to your friends and family and stuff like that. Warm calling, past clients. We want to be hunters. We want to be going out and looking for business. We don't want to become trappers where we're just waiting back for something to come to us. That's not, you can do that, but you got to spend a lot of money on advertisements and stuff like that. So when we're just starting out, which by the by is fine if you have that, kind of capital, a lot of bigger agents, that's what they do. But I promise you, the way they got there wasn't by trapping, it was by hunting originally. So the point that I'm trying to get at is consistency is key to our business, and the consistency of always lead generating and getting out there and looking and finding for the business. So awesome. All righty. Let's get into this one. This is another video, a day in the life of a mega agent. And I think we're going to find that this person is extremely consistent. So let's get into it. And here let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. There we go.
Hi, I'm Linda McKissick, and I'm going to talk to you about an ideal day in the life of a mega agent. First thing in the morning, I have to start with getting up and getting my head right. What I've discovered is if I get my head there, my body will show up. So that typically means getting up in the morning, always exercising, getting the blood flowing. And second, reading something either spiritual or motivational, or listening to an audio tape. Jim Rohn happens to be my favorite, so he's always in one of my CD players somewhere so that I can plug him in easily. Just listening to people that are inspirational, because I think all of us need hope every day to go do what we have to do. As we get to the office, the most important thing is, because every business is a lead generation business, is what does that lead generation look like? For me, because I'm at the 7th level, one of the most important things is, what key people do I need to talk with that day? And that always pops up first. Do they have what they need to succeed? And then the next thing is, who are the people we need to be doing business with? How have I communicated with them lately? What do I need to do now? Is it a phone call today? Is it a drip campaign? Is it an invitation to something? Looking for, how do I communicate with those people that we want to do business with? And how do I keep furthering that relationship and moving it along? I've discovered my business energy is highest earliest in the morning, earliest in the day, and earliest in the week. So I front load my week, Monday being the most difficult day with all the contacts and all the lead generation that I need to do early in the morning. And that frees me up to have the afternoon to kind of just work on plans or projects. Typically what I find is through the week, Monday and Tuesday are heavier, and Wednesday, and by Thursday and Friday, it's pretty more entrepreneurial of just off the cuff. And in the evening on Mondays or through the week is, it's always about family, because the reason we do what we do is so that we can build a great life and build great memories with our family. So our kids are very important to us. We're very involved. It's what are we going to do as a family? What do we need to do as a family? When's dinner? Where are we going to go? Or what are we going to eat? And that kind of rejuvenates me. One of my philosophies is the purpose of business is to fund life. And to me, life is all about family. And as a mega agent, your day might look different, but the key things we have to always remember is certain parts of our day have to look the same. So you might want to think about, where's my head? How can I get my head in the right place? And then we always want to remember that every business has to be lead generating. So what does your lead generation look like? Is it earliest in the morning? Is it earliest in the day? And then we always have to know that somewhere in the day we have to spend that quality time with family, because we don't want to win at business to lose at family. Thanks for watching KW Connect, and make it a great day.
Awesome. So, you know, one thing that I take from that video is that she is very, very organized. And listen, you know, sometimes for some agents, you know, we say that doing the lead generation, we need to do it daily. Obviously, for some people, it works a little bit different. You know, she's obviously being very purposeful about how she spends her time. And instead of doing like a daily lead generation thing, she front loads it, you know, in the week. So, you know, obviously we don't have to do everything verbatim, you know, doing a daily, you know, activity or whatever, but at least she does have a scheduled week. And, you know, at the very least, she's probably lead generating for a few hours, you know, Monday and Tuesday, and then setting up her meetings throughout the entire week. What do you think you could do in your lives to make sure you are getting your lead generation done and making sure you have your weeks scheduled?
I think also like working with a coach. Like I know for me specifically, my personality, like having that accountability really helps me. He checks in with me like on Mondays usually, and we follow up on the, you know, the week before and the week ahead, and you're held up to something. So
yeah, I have to agree. You know, Josh Spitzen, I try not to take up a lot of his time, but you know, he's kind of a bit of a mentor to me. And you know, for some reason, I'm okay with letting myself down, but I never like letting other people down. And if I know somebody's constantly going to be checking in on me and, you know, being like, hey, you know, are you doing this? Are you doing that? It really kind of pushes me to perform a little bit better, and to, you know, make sure I'm keeping up with my commitments. So absolutely, Mary, I think that that's a great one. Anybody else like what they think that they could do to ensure that they're staying consistent with their lead generation and their productivity?
I think organization is a huge thing. Obviously, that woman was super organized, but you know, she front loads her week, and I think that kind of keeps you on your toes, as if like, you know, it's Monday, you know, it's Tuesday, and if you want a lighter end of your week, now is the time to really commit, you know, to getting things done. So I liked that tip a lot.
100%. Listen, I like to get a lot of stuff done early in the week. The busiest days for me is Monday through Wednesday. And, you know, I like to call it a California Friday because Thursday is pretty much my Friday. You know, I'm ready to have a great weekend. I've pretty much done all my busy stuff already. And frankly, you know, at the end of the day, Thursday, all I'm doing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is really just, you know, checking in with my clients, seeing if we're going to be setting up any showings, stuff like that. And, you know, that way it kind of really frees up a lot of time for me to, you know, live a life that I happen to enjoy very much. So I think something that's really important for me, at least, in this whole process, is making sure I have everything scheduled out. You know, in my phone, I have, you know, daily reminders of, you know, on Monday, I'm supposed to be working on my weekly newsletter. On Tuesday, I should have, you know, the final draft, you know, pretty much ready to go. And then by Wednesday, I typically will send it out. And then I don't even send this to agents. I send this to like my friends, family, sphere, stuff like that. Past, you know, work relationships that I have, et cetera, et cetera. And that way I'm staying in touch with people on a weekly basis. But the other things that I also like to do on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays is where I do the bulk of my lead generation. And my lead generation looks a little bit different, but I do have it scheduled. Like it actually pops up on my phone and says, hey, you're supposed to be lead generating right now. And it's typically 15 minutes before the hour to just give me a reminder. And then on the hour, it goes start lead generating. And I kind of look at my phone like it's my boss, you know. I don't have a boss who's over my shoulder making sure I'm being productive, but my phone always tells me, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this.
Yeah, I think seeing the word or just like obviously having a reminder that's telling you to do something is, you know,
Yeah.
takes the place of an actual human verbalizing that, but it can still make a difference.
100%. What is something else that she had mentioned in this little video was that she likes to exercise and do something either spiritual or motivational or whatever. How important is that?
Super important.
Absolutely.
When you don't do it, you really see the difference.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, I was in a bit of a funk. I, you know, lost my phone yesterday at a friend's house. And I just felt like totally like lost, so to speak. So I kind of like eventually got it. And I, you know, typically what I like to do every Monday and Wednesday is I go on a hike in the morning. And unfortunately, I didn't do it this week. And I feel totally off right now. Like, I'm like, what is going on? Like, it just, you know, kind of threw me for a loop. And the reason why I'm realizing it's so important is because you're doing something for yourself. When you're, you know, doing this, you know, business, you know, sometimes it can get a little bit daunting. And, you know, we're doing a lot of things that we don't necessarily like doing. Even if you get used to lead generation, it's never fun. It can be fun if you're doing it right. You enjoy the process. But, you know, sometimes you're not going to want to feel like it. But if you're doing something for yourself consistently and building a day, a perfect day, and always starting with something positive, it just kind of sets the tone for the remaining portion of your day and your week. So I like to say, not just, you know, for health reasons or whatever, I think working out and being active is extremely, extremely important. And then also, you know, I'm not personally very religious, but, you know, for some people they are. So, you know, doing something spiritual, I think is absolutely important. But for me, my hiking is kind of spiritual for me. I feel very connected to nature, and it clears my head. It's almost like a meditation for me, because it's a God, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a repetitive action, you know, that's, you know, very consistent and for a long duration, and it just kind of clears your head a little bit, gets all the cobwebs out. So I think, you know, working out, doing something spiritual, or reading some motivational stuff, extremely, extremely important. That TED Talk, you know, that's a TED Talk that I watch on a regular basis. I probably watch that TED Talk maybe, I don't know, once a month or something like that, and along with a lot of other ones, because I do find it to be very important to try to get my head in the right space before I'm, you know, taking on a whole bunch of, you know, lead generation, or before I'm meeting with a client or whatever. Just as important as it is for me to prepare for a meeting, it's also important for me to get in the right headspace before a meeting. So also very, very good. Very cool. Let's see. So what is your advice on getting into effective production as quickly as possible? So what can you do?
I think having realistic expectations also, and not like overwhelming yourself. I think a
Yeah.
lot of new agents, especially, just because, you know, with time you learn that that's not going to be in your benefit, but just to take it easy and make practical, realistic goals is important.
I couldn't agree with you more. When I first got my license, I was convinced, you know, I'm just going to make a website and make a couple posts on my Instagram or Facebook, and I'm going to get so much business. People are just going to call me and go, tell me how to buy and sell real estate, Jared. I want you to represent me. That did not happen. I remember I got this website. I was, you know, spent hours and hours on it. I made it all myself. I was really proud. I was like, oh my God, this is such a cool website. I don't even use that website anymore, by the way. You know, I just had this idea that like business was going to come to me. Why? Because I grew up in Los Angeles. I have a lot of connections out here, And obviously people are going to want to work with me. But the truth of the matter is, if I really thought about it, I know real estate agents, before I got in real estate. I never once reached out to them and said, hey, how do I, what's the first step of buying a house? I'm very interested in it. I was so interested that I became a real estate agent, but never once did I reach out to an actual agent and go, hey, how do I buy a house? Like, what's the first step? What should I be doing? And so if I was honest with myself, I would have realized that, hey, you're going to have to be reaching out to people, not waiting for people to reach out to you. Just saying you're a real estate agent isn't quite enough to get business. What you really need to do is reach out proactively. Mercedes said today in the power session with Josh, the first thing that he does when he meets with like a new agent or the first thing that they bring up is their website and how proud they are of it, and how oh my gosh, look how amazing it is, and how much time they put into it, and blah, 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 blah. And great. It might be a very beautiful website. It might look great. But if you really looked at the back end and see how many visits you get per month, maybe like 1 to 10. And more than likely or not, it's you going to check your own website. So websites don't really get you business. And so to be productive, I think for me, I had to be realistic with my goals and what I wanted to achieve, and also ask myself, what do I need to do that? And so frankly, I've realized that for me, it's reaching out to friends, family, and past clients, and doing it as much as possible without being annoying. For example, my letter that I send out once a week, that's very real estate focused. But even in that letter, I'm talking about fun activities, in Los Angeles, or, quick little, 3-4 hour, day trips that you can take in California. And then a little bit about real estate and like my listings and like, past sales and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When I'm reaching out to people on Mondays and Wednesdays, some of the times we don't even talk about real estate. Sometimes I'm just calling people and just going, hey, it's Jared, just wanted to check in on you, see how you're doing. Because, being in real estate really is a lot of proactive outreaches. But to do it effectively, in my opinion, you kind of have to have a little bit of both sides. You have to be coming from a genuine place, coming from contribution, but also not the pesky real estate agent who's like, a total salesperson. A lot of places like, and I just know this because, I've been to like a few, family reunions and stuff like that. There's a lot of agents who literally like in like the South and like, middle America and stuff like that. It's very straightforward. They're calling people and talking about buying, selling real estate every single day. And, I think it works for them, but in a smaller town, but in like a big city like Los Angeles, there's so many real estate agents here that sometimes people get a little bit annoyed of it. So, you have to come with like a little bit two sides and know when to be aggressive and know when to, just be coming from contribution and just checking in on them and, stuff like that. So for me, my advice in getting into effective production as quickly as possible is reaching out to friends and family and becoming that go-to person for them whenever they have, any type of real estate need, whether it be, I need a contractor to fix up my house. I need this to do that. I need, advice on, this or whatever. Be that person and be available to them. So awesome stuff. What is your secret to longevity and prosperity in the real estate business? Personally, for me, it's consistency, like what Miss Dixon said earlier. You have to be consistent. That's very important in this business, and not to overwhelm yourself. I hear a lot of times people with these lofty goals, but they never have like a roadmap to how to get there. So make sure you have a roadmap. Make sure you know what you have to do every single day and stick to it, and be consistent. Very cool. All righty. Let's see. All righty, making it happen. Anyone can succeed, but not everyone will. Why? The ones who do succeed have focus, the ability to concentrate their thoughts and actions on the most important tasks. How can you create a personal plan and make process your focus? So yeah, I mean, the answers are written for you right here because I'm using the instructor version. But yeah, you're gonna want to follow a big plan from a big model and make the implementation process my focus. Aim high and don't allow my goals to be a ceiling to my achievement. Do not aim too low so I don't stop trying once I hit my goal. Make the daily 10-4 activities my focus. Time block the daily 10-4 to protect the time to accomplish these, which gives me focus. So yeah, absolutely. If there's one thing that I always tell people, it's like the daily 10-4 is our roadmap. If you don't do anything real estate related, every day, at least just do the daily 10-4. If you just do that, I promise you will see more business than you thought possible. And it's really that simple. The daily 10-4 can be completed within a 3-hour period of time. So really, I'm not asking for the world from everybody. I'm just asking for 3 hours every single day. And that's your full-time job in real estate. That's it, but the irony is a lot of people just don't do it. So do it. Anyway, how do you time block to get your focus? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, time blocking is very, very important. I suggest everybody sit down and bring out their iCalendar or Google Calendar or whatever, and really just sit down and time block, when you write it down, it exists and you can hold yourself accountable that way. Otherwise, if it's just in the back of your head and you're like, yeah, I'll get to it, it probably won't happen. So make sure you're doing it and time blocking. Here it says 2 to 4 hours to focus on accomplishing these goals. So that sounds about right. 2 to 4 hours every single day, focusing on your daily 10-4. All righty. Let's see. Okay. Accountability and the 6 personal perspectives. Here, how about this? I'm going to have Morgan, if I could have you read accountability.
Number 3.
Yeah, page 15.
Oh, okay. That's on the wrong one. Okay, accountability. In the 6 personal perspectives, we learned accountability is a tool for continually changing the results in your life in those areas that matter most, your 20%. Goal achievement is a direct result of accountability. To support your goal setting, we recommend you use the 411 productivity tool in addition to MyTracker. What is the 411? 411 stands for 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. At Keller Williams, we use the 411 as a productivity tool to reflect top priorities, the big rocks. The 411 tool allows you to define your weekly, monthly, and annual goals. Because your daily activities manifest into your overall results, the goals you set are an effective and crucial accountability function for your business. Annual goals. You should set aside 1 to 3 days each year to think about and crystallize these 1-year goals. Get clear on your big rocks, those 5 to 7 key goals that you must achieve in order to feel that you have had a successful year. Annual goals should reflect each of the key areas of your life. There can be many categories, but we have found the following 4 areas to be the most useful. Job, what will you do? Business, what will your business or team do? Personal, what do you desire to have happen personally? Health, family, spiritual, educational, etc. And personal financial, what improvements do you desire in your net worth? Reduce liabilities, increase investments, increase assets, etc.
Perfect. So yeah, all these questions you should be asking yourselves. Job, what will you do? Daily 10-4, that's your job. You should be doing that. Business, what will your business or team do? All these are very, very important questions to ask yourself. And then also mainly another one that's really important is what do you desire to happen personally? Health, family, spiritual, educational, etc. To say, oh, just do all this lead generation, all the whatever, great. But if it's not to achieve something in your personal life, you're not likely going to look at it as something that you really want to do. But if you go, hey, if I do this, I will be able to achieve this in my personal life, you're more likely to be inclined to be consistent in those actions. So, great. It's good to be focused on your job and your business and your personal finances, but what in your personal life can you do that if you are doing your business correctly, what could improve in your personal life. So I think that's very important. All righty. So monthly goals, weekly goals, and a lot of these things that the way Keller Williams kind of breaks it out, I think is genius, is we're trying to, set everything into these, bite-size goals, so to speak. So monthly goal, you should set aside 1 to 3 hours each month. Hold on one second. There we go. Each month to rethink and further refine your monthly goals. Focus on your methods of achievement. How will you position yourself in the pursuit of your annual goals? Begin by breaking your annual goals down into their monthly increments. In addition, write down the key activity goals that will lead to these monthly results. When deciding your monthly goals, remember to put first things first. Any goals that other goals hinge on would have higher priority. You should have no more than 5 to 7 monthly goals. Do not plan any more than 1 month ahead. Okay. Weekly goals. You should set aside half to 1 hour each week, 30 minutes to an hour each week to form goals for the coming week. Weekly goals are levers, actions, or activities. Levers are the goals that are the mechanisms or how-tos of achievement. For example, I will contact 10 people each day. These weekly goals are the steps you will take towards your monthly and annual goals. Levers are the means to the end. Again, your weekly goals are not a to-do list, but rather a have-to-do list. Decide what you need to do that week to achieve your goals. Again, remembering to put first things first. Limit your number of weekly goals to 6 to 8 key measurable activities. Locate the 411 on mykw.com thing. So yeah, your weekly goals, again, like I keep saying, our daily 10-4 should just be, the Bible that we live by, basically, so to speak. Really, we just need to make sure we're doing that consistently. Okay, your turn, the 411. If we were in class, I would have everybody break this out and do this, but since we are on Zoom, it's going to be a little bit difficult. But I suggest everybody break this out individually and actually, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, excuse me. And actually write all this stuff down and put it someplace very important, very noticeable, tape it to your wall. I have like a little calendar that's on my wall that has like a little cork board that I can pin it right there. I have my Valentine's Day card from my girlfriend, which I think is really sweet. That's up there, but I also have, numbers for people that I need to contact constantly. And then I also have this, in fact, is up on my board. So I'm able to look at it. If I'm ever like, oh gosh, what should I do today? Boom, it's right there. So good stuff. All righty. Okay. Let's see. All righty. So revisiting your goals. In Power Session 1, Ignite Your Business, you set a goal for your annual number of closed contracts based on the annual income you desire. Annual goals can be broken down to monthly, weekly, and even daily goals to keep you on track. You'll even be able to measure your progress towards them. At this time, you may be ready to increase your goal. You can enter your additional or change goals into your GCI calculator. Enter values for A and B and calculate all the results of the following of the numbers following the formulas provided. Then elevate your wins and opportunities. Okay, my goals. A, GCI. By this date, 1 year from now, how much GCI do you want to earn? B, average sales price. What is the average sales price in your area? So these are all ways that we can kind of determine what we need to do and how we want to, achieve it. Your average income based on the average sales price. What is the average commission you expect to receive for each sale? And then it shows you average commission percentage times B. D, closed contracts. Divide your gross commission income GCI goal by the average commissions to determine the number of each closed contract you need to reach your goal. So it goes on and on and on and on. By doing these little activities, we're able to break it down pretty exacting. I know I get in contact with about 1 out of every 3 phone calls I make. So if my goal is to, get, I don't know, X amount of, contacts. Well, actually, let me do this in reverse. So my goal is to make X amount of money this year. I know that out of every single buyer or seller I have, I'll close that person within 6 months. So if I have, 5 buyers that I'm working with, which I do have right now. Actually, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buyers, excuse me. 6 buyers that I'm working with. I'm able to determine, within 6 months, I should be closing on all of these. But on average, about, 3 out of every 10, for some reason or another, they don't end up closing a contract. It's a financial reason, it's whatever. So my point is I'm able to determine how many phone calls do I need to make to get that many clients, how many outreaches I have to do. And then by doing that, I can assume how on average, how many of these are actually going to close. So I have a predictable, flow of income now. And by doing all these, equations, I'm able to determine I need to make this many contacts to get into this many contracts to make this amount of money. And I have a very set, thing. I basically have to do 1,000 contacts per month, which sounds daunting, but it's actually not as crazy as you think. If I want to, my goal was to make $1 million. So to do that, I need to have like about 1,000 contacts per month. A little bit daunting, yes. Do I hit that out of the park every single month? Not really, admittedly. But I was able to come up to that, conclusion based off of these equations, and they're pretty true. So I suggest everybody take the time to do that. Okay, let's see. Elevate wins and opportunities. Self-reflect on your actions. Write your answers down to the following questions and then share them with the class. What wins have you, so let's get everybody talking real quick. What are some wins that you've experienced in the last 4 weeks? This is for everybody on this class, especially the people who've been doing the Ignite classes. But what are some of the wins that you've experienced in the last 4 weeks?
Getting my DRE number.
Nice, congratulations. And I would say getting one of your first clients.
Yes. Honestly, although like the buyer wasn't ready at that time, I think my first initial conversation to, speak with May and then get the outreach towards him and let him know I had a lender available, like just that initial first conversation that I went through actually made me super confident and comfortable in, continuing to have that conversation with other buyers as well.
Nice. I love it. That's awesome. Good stuff. Anybody else have some personal, what personal wins that they've had in the last 4 weeks?
I would say getting my DRE number as well. And yesterday's appointment actually led me to my first client as well. So basically the same thing as Taylor.
Awesome. Very nice, Josh. Congratulations. That's awesome. What opportunities for improvement have you encountered?
Definitely learning how to lead generate more and be more efficient at it.
Perfect. And, it's very brave to be able to admit these things. Personally, I know that I could do lead generation a little bit better myself. It's one of the things that I, really am trying to do a little bit better this year. And why is it so important to be able to reflect and go, where can I grow? Because the best of the best know that they're constantly improving. They've never reached, the top. You can always be better. You can always add something additional that you don't, maybe that you lack or that you don't realize you're lacking in. So very good. Awesome stuff. Anybody else want to share? All righty. What kind of leads are you getting? Sellers, buyers? What about the quality of the leads that you've been getting? How quickly are you able to convert them into an appointment? So for everybody who's been, starting with cold calling and whatnot, what kind of leads are you getting? Where do you feel your business is mainly focused right now? Morgan, how about you?
I would say probably more so for available buyers, just because I've kind of utilized the people that I currently already know to start. So I would say obviously people that are looking rather than, potential listings.
Gotcha. And how could you, and by the by, how many out of all the people you've talked to, how many people have turned into clients?
About 3.
Nice. And how many people would you say you reached out to in total?
Over 100.
Over 100. Okay. So and by the by, that sounds about normal. For me, out of every 100, contacts or outreaches that I have, I'll come up with about 3 leads. And I'll have to ask myself, occasionally, like, how good are these leads? What are the quality of these leads? Are they just people who are, not really serious, or are they, really quality leads? And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to focus my efforts on where I'm getting quality leads from. So for me, I'm going to start door knocking again because I'm just tired of waiting for this whole pandemic to be over. That's where I get a lot of quality leads. And some of the best leads I've ever received were from door knocking. And those are typically listing leads. Now, when I'm, calling my friends and family, because of my age, I'm 33, most of my friends are around my age. Not all of them have houses that they're selling, but they're buyers. So I'm
Right.
able to identify that the buyers that I get are from my cold calls. The sellers that I get are from my door knocking. So I'm able to focus on one of those areas more than the other if I'm trying to get more, listings versus, more buyers. So we want to be, very aware of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what the results are.
That makes sense. And I was just going to say, I found a really good platform to reach out to people, to where I can like reach out to, 50 to 100 in like 30 minutes or less, obviously through social media. But I don't think the conversations are as like authentic, and they don't really lead to, more of a genuine conversation about real estate. I think, so I want to be able to lead generate, but, maybe cold calls are more effective, to where the people are a little more interested or maybe more serious. I think it's just like, I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah, I agree. And can I ask you where the what website you're using for?
Yeah, so it's actually through Facebook Marketplace. I actually have been communicating with people over like the last 2 years. When I first moved to LA, actually I was like furnishing my first apartment, and I was like looking for estate sales or whatever, just for furniture, like when they were posting it. And I went back and reached out to every single person that I had a conversation with, like in LA. And I actually did get a few good conversations, but I think because it was through Facebook, or because it was through Messenger or something like that, it just wasn't as maybe taken seriously, or, it wasn't like as a productive, I don't know, platform as I thought it would be.
Sure, that makes sense. But you know what though, like you're able to identify something that you can do in mass. But at the same time, maybe if you're getting better results in one area, focus a little more time on that area, but also keep that up. So, for example, for me, when I'm lead generating, I looked at this last year, the majority of the leads that I had, actually, no, I think I had pretty 50-50 on that. Yeah, I had pretty much had the same amount of listings as I had with buyers. So I take that back. But if I really dissect it, I can kind of focus on, well, where did I get more of my listings from versus where did I get more of my buyers from? And I'm going to be able to, focus on those things. So very good stuff. All righty. As a CEO of
Jerry, I just got a quick question. When you were talking about door knocking, just for you, for like an example, when you can do it again, or just talking about previous times you've done it, like how did you target your door knockers? Like, did you go to an area where you just had a listing and then went to people around them? And then, was it a lot of times like people just don't want to talk to you at all, or was it more of a positive response?
So depending on where I door knock, I get different results. So for example, oddly enough, I used to door knock my old neighborhood that I grew up in here in LA. and I got really bad results there, frankly. I also started looking at the turnover rate, how many, people move in a given year. And, the area that I was knocking in, I realized had a really low turnover. I guess people kind of move there and stay there. And it's actually interesting. The further, you look into it, you realize a lot of these homes are passed down to family members and they actually just don't move. So I realized that was probably not a great place for me to focus my efforts. So then I started looking at other areas where there's a higher turnover rate. And I found Bel Air to be pretty good. I don't mind sharing this, even though you're technically all my competitors, technically. But most people don't want to door knock in Bel Air. I don't know why. It's a great place to door knock. I've had a listing out there, and that's why I kind of chose that area as well. But the turnover rate is pretty good. And frankly, because people don't door knock it as often, I think people are nicer. People are a little bit more friendly to say hi to you. A lot of the places in Bel Air that I door knock are all the way at the top of the mountain, and a little bit lower than Sepulveda, Mulholland. But yeah, I think a lot of people just don't drive up that far, and I like door knocking that area because the response is a little bit better. And plus it's a nice, pretty neighborhood. It's interesting though, but some neighborhoods, I think get more realtors and they kind of get a little bit, iffy. So I don't know, but I also use Josh to be a little bit more direct. Okay, Archie, I'll let you in a second. I use title to determine what the turnover rates are in specific areas, and I kind of focus on it that way. But a lot of people say that they try to focus on expireds or stuff like that. I really don't do that. I just kind of do the entire area and door knock like an entire neighborhood, because I never know who's going to buy or who's going to sell. Just because somebody moved in 3 or 4 years ago doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to sell or that they don't have a buying need. So I'd like to get them all. It's like Pokemon. I'm trying to catch them all.
Gotcha. No, that helps a lot. So appreciate it.
Absolutely. All righty. Okay. Hold on. My dog is going nuts right now. Archer, come here. Come on. Okay. Anyway. All righty. Okay. Know your numbers. This is all about conversion rates. We want to be able to know how many leads to turn into closed contracts. We want to also know how many outreaches we have to make to get one lead. And we want to do these conversion rates and figure it out. And so this is very important. So I suggest people going back to this and going through and doing that. This goes into, for example, how many connections, how many appointments, conversion rate, and then percentage. So this is going to be a very, very powerful tool for all of us to make sure that we're doing. All right. So this is page 23 out of 39. All right. Okay. Let's keep it going. Okay. So these are some commitments that I suggest everybody does. And if we remember the video that we were watching before we got into the material, Chris Hadfield, he talked about how much practice went into becoming an astronaut. They practice not only things going right, but they also practice things going wrong. So this is something that's very important for all of us to do. We are not astronauts, we're realtors, so we don't have to do crazy, scary scenarios and stuff. But that's why scripts are very important. Commit to continuing the daily 10-4. Commit to trying to hold open houses every week. That is a great lead generation tool for all new agents. Ask other realtors if you can sit their open houses. I commit to putting all the people in my database into touch campaigns and following up with a phone call every quarter. I commit to going, thank you. I commit to putting all people in my database. Yeah, okay, sorry. I commit to going on X amount of appointments every single week. So make sure we're doing all these commitments and staying on top of it. All right. Okay, so some additional stuff. I highly recommend everybody read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. That's by Gary Keller. And also The Real Estate Investor. And then also Shift, How a Top Real Estate Agent Tackles Tough Times. You know, a lot of people are talking about, you know, are we going through a bubble right now? We might be, frankly. I think that the market is being kind of propped up slightly artificially. A lot of the stuff that's going on right now is because of the interest rates being so low, and then also the inventory being so low. So prices are being boop, 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 jacked up. So we want to know what to do in case things make a quick turn. So highly recommend reading that. Also, when Family Reunion starts again, I highly recommend everybody goes to that. It is just such a powerful, motivationally and also just, you know, intellectually stimulating conference. Mega Camp is awesome. I will attend Ignite again. Again, Ignite is not just for new real estate agents. It's great to just hop in, you know, classes periodically, just as a refresher, just to remind you of what you need to do. I will attend Bold. Oh my gosh, I highly recommend everybody do Bold. That is, it's intense. It's we try to do like daily 100 dials. It pushes you out of your comfort zone. If you have a really good Bold coach, he's going to make you call people that you never thought you would call. And in fact, that's how I got one of my first listings on my own, because before I was working with a real estate agent when I was at Rodeo Realty. So a lot of the clients I was working with were her clients. But this was one of my first big listings that I got, you know, all on my own. And it was, you know, really amazing. And it was because of Bold, frankly. It pushed me to make a call to a former boss of mine who, mind you, I literally walked out of the office one day because I was like, I'm done with this like place and I'm going to become a real estate agent. And I just didn't call back. I didn't, you know, they were like, hey, you know, what happened? And I'm like, didn't even respond to them. I was like, I'm done with this place. It's just blah. And yeah, so he also threw a stapler at my head once while we were in the office, which was interesting. Very, very healthy working relationship. Anyway, to say the least, I reached out to him because of Bold, and he gave me his listing. Go figure. So highly recommend doing Bold. I will take the technology training offered in my market center. We need more of that, but I highly recommend doing that. Okay. All righty. And this is an ad for Bold. All righty. Okay. Okay, this is all activities. Okay. So this pretty much concludes our class. So does anybody have any questions? Any comments? Any aha moments?
I'm just ready to get started.
Atta girl. Well, good job, everybody. Pleasure to have you on. Parker, I look forward to starting one back up with you. It's going to be the week after next. And thank you all for joining, and get out there, make some calls, and close some deals.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, Jared. Look forward to it.
Jared.
Cheers, everybody. Have a great one.
You too. Bye.